Hello, Saxon.
Hi.
I'm Nick.
Hi.
I'm here to talk to you. I heard you have some stuff going on. What's been happening?
Something's wrong with my baby and nobody's listening to me. They say that it's fine, but it's not fine. I can tell. I've been with him the entire time and he's not the same baby. He's acting different now.
Okay. What do you think is going on?
When he was born, they were having some issues with him breathing, so he went to be in the NICU, and they put him on an IV, but now they're saying he's okay. They're taking him off it. They're saying he looks okay, but no, I've been sitting next to him the entire time, and he looks different now. His face is different, and his moving is different, and something's wrong.
That can be very scary. I know that there's a lot of concern about babies, and I know that sometimes the hospital maybe isn't giving you all the information you want to know. Have you tried to talk to any of the nurses or the doctors there?
Yes, yeah, one of the nurses was terrible. I didn't like her at all, but she went off shift, and I told the other nurse how bad she was, and that nurse was nicer, and she was taking care of him. But they're not listening to me. They say that he looks fine and everything's okay, but I know it's not.
Okay. Have you told them what you think your concerns are?
Yes, and they say that him crying is okay and that it's normal, and they say that the way that he's moving is entirely fine. That it's called it's a reflex. It's a startle reflex, but I know it's not okay.
Okay. Have you been taking care of yourself? Or have you just been very worried about the baby?
I've been just with him.
Okay. Sometimes what can happen is if we don't get a lot of sleep, we just start getting very worried. Things that feel like they weren't a big issue before get bigger and bigger and bigger, and that makes it harder and harder to sleep, and that can be very scary.
They gave me a place to sleep, but I don't want to go there. I don't want to leave him alone. I can't.
Have you talked to the nurses about that nurse you said you like? Have you talked to her about maybe watching the baby?
Yes, and they say they'll keep an eye on him, but I'm scared to leave him. I don't. I'm scared he's gonna die.
I think the reason he's still in the hospital, though, is to make sure that doesn't happen. I think if there was something that was really worrisome, you wouldn't have been allowed to go visit, or they would have been informing you that something bad was happening. I don't think there's any reason they would lie to you. I think they want what's best for your baby, and I think they want what's best for you. And I think maybe why they're concerned about you is when we don't sleep, we can get very anxious. When we get anxious, sometimes we might not respond in the best. We might scare the baby, or you might get in the way of the things they're doing to try to help the baby. And because of that, they might want you to just get some sleep first, or just take a little bit of a break, and then you'll be allowed to go see your baby.
I just want to hold him.
And that's natural. I think that is kind of that's an impulse, right? It's something that all mothers want to do, and it can be very difficult that you're not being allowed to do that right away. But I think too, all mothers want what's best for the baby, and they want to make sure that their baby is happy and healthy. And I think even if you can't hold him, from what I've been told, you should be allowed to go and see him in the NICU.
Yes, I stay beside him. I have a chair. I sit beside him.
One thing that maybe I don't know if you know about babies is they're much better at smell than at sight or at touch or anything like that. So he should know that you're there. Just you being in the room with him should be enough to comfort him and let him know that he's in a safe place and you're close by.
Doesn't that mean I shouldn't leave him though? What if he knows? What if he feels like I'm leaving him alone?
One of the things that babies have to learn, though, is that mothers will leave, but they'll come back. They have to learn that someone isn't always going to be there, because if someone's always there, that's just what they come to expect. It can make it very, very scary when they do have to be left alone. And there will be a day when your baby grows up that they'll have to go to school, or you'll have to go to work, and they'll have to stay home with their father, they'll have to stay home with another caretaker. And this is part of where they start learning that. What they learn is that it's scary when the mother leaves, but if they cry, if they need their mother comes back. And I'm sure the hospital has made sure to get your information so that if they think they need you, they can get in touch with you very quickly. It
Yes.
sounds like they have a place for you to stay in the hospital, right?
Yes, I have a bed.
And have you been to your room?
I went there. My husband told me to go and try and sleep, so I went there one night, but I couldn't stay there. I was so it's not in the same room as him. I can't see him from there. And I'm afraid the nurses aren't going to be with him all the time.
Maybe you can ask if they'll give you a baby monitor or something so you can hear him. You can know that he's asleep and you can know that he's still there.
That would be good, I think.
Do you think you could talk to the nurse about that, or would you like us to talk to the nurses about that?
That sounds good.
And I imagine, is this your first baby?
Yes.
Yes. So I imagine there's a lot of other anxiety.
I'm afraid I'm not making enough milk for him. They're saying that it's okay, but I'm scared that it's not. I don't want him to get smaller.
I don't think they'll let that happen. I think sometimes it takes time for mother's milk to come in. Sometimes it takes time for the baby can adequately latch and get enough food. So I think if something was wrong, they would be telling you. The doctors want what's best for you and the baby, which would mean they should be telling you if they think there's a problem, right?
Right.
And have they said that there's any problems?
No, they said that his breathing's better now, and they're slowly taking him off sugar.
So that should mean he's getting better, right?
That's what they're saying.
And that means when he's all better, he'll come back to you, but you have to make sure that you're good. And if you're not sleeping, you're not taking care of yourself, how are you going to be able to take care of him when he comes, when he's given back to you? So I think if you want what's best for your baby, it's best that you make use of that room they gave you and you ask to sleep. And you make sure that you're eating. You make sure that if you have any concerns, instead of just letting your mind run wild, that maybe you ask the nurse, so you said one of them was nice, or you ask the doctor if the doctor's around.
The doctor's nice. I like her.
Have you been able to talk with her about your concerns?
Yes, she said it's all normal. She said that everything looks good on the monitor. She said that his moving around is normal. She said it's good that he's crying, but I feel like something's wrong. And I had a friend whose baby died 2 weeks after it was born, and I don't want that to happen to him.
Okay. And sometimes it's very scary when we have experiences like that. And because of that, it might make us very worried or very concerned that something similar is going to happen because we can't think of anything else, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I don't know about your friend's case, but from what I understand from what you've been telling me and what I've heard from the hospital is that your baby is doing well, and the only reason they're still keeping your baby is to make sure that he's going to keep being well, and you're welcome to be there with your baby. That's why they've given you that room. That's not so that you can't be near the baby. That's just so that you're close by so that you can go and try to feed him or hold him, but he needs to stay in the hospital in case anything changes. They want to make sure that if anything changes, they can deal with it right away.
I just want to go home with him.
And I think that will happen soon. I do think that if the way they've explained things to me and you're explaining things to me, the baby is getting better.
That's what they're saying.
What you need to be careful about, though, is you don't want to make yourself worse. It sounds like you're having a hard time sleeping. It sounds like maybe you're not eating as much as you should be. If you get sick, they're not going to want to give you the baby right away because they don't know if you can take care of him because you're sick, right?
That makes sense.
And what can we do maybe to work on getting ourselves a little bit better?
I think I need sleep. I'm not feeling right. And I haven't eaten much. I just had my husband bringing me coffees and a little bit from Tim's, but I like the idea of having a monitor. I think that would make me feel better.
I think what we might want to look into is one you've mentioned. If you're drinking a lot of coffee, that can make us anxious. Caffeine can make us very anxious. And I also imagine if you're giving milk to your baby, caffeine is not the best for babies.
That's true.
And that might be part of why you said he was moving around a lot. It's just like someone that drinks too much coffee. They get hyper.
That makes sense.
I think if you get maybe a little bit more sleep, maybe you try to eat a little bit more diverse food. I know the hospital can provide meals. Maybe even trying little attempts to do things like go for a walk, but maybe not right away to go see your baby. Take a little bit of a longer walk. Or try to get outside just for a little bit of fresh air.
Mm.
Or try to read a book if you like reading. Find something that takes your mind off of it for a little bit, because that will help you understand. You will be told if something changes or if they need you or if the baby needs you, because they want what's best for you and the baby. And I think this is a good time where you can get to start learning that you're not always going to be there 100% of the time, but you can always be there when you're needed, because Either the baby will let you know, or someone, if you're still in the hospital, they will come and let you know.
Mm.
And the best way that you can make sure you can always provide for your baby is that you take care of yourself. And sometimes that's a hard thing to do, but I think once you start getting proper sleep, you maybe have a little bit more to eat, you stop having so much caffeine, maybe get a little bit of fresh air outside, you're going to feel a lot less worried. And I think once you start feeling a lot less worried, it will be easier to understand what they're telling you about your baby, or you might be able to ask some better questions. And it might mean that you're more likely to be able to spend more time with your baby. Because if you're anxious, the baby can feel that, right? And if the baby is already not feeling too good,
I want to take good care of my baby.
mm-hmm.
I don't want him to be upset.
And I know that. You've made that very clear. You want to do what you can to take care of your baby. And I think you're very scared because you thought you couldn't go see the baby. They were taking the baby from you. When I know sometimes they don't do the best in explaining what they're doing. And they're in a hurry, they're worried about the baby and they're trying to get things ready and they're not thinking about the mother as much.
Mm.
And that means that someone forgets to say something. But I want to reassure you, you're allowed to go see your baby. And that's always been allowed. And the reason they've kept the baby is they just want to make sure the baby is all better. The baby doesn't seem to be having any more problems. They're just making sure that he's all good.
Okay.
And I think you need to take a little bit more care of yourself for a little bit. So getting a little bit better sleep,
Okay.
maybe having a little bit more to eat, getting outside.
I think I'll go sleep.
Cutting back on the coffee will definitely help. Is there any other questions you have? Or is there any other concerns I can help you with?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. I hope you have a good day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You too.